Hi, my name is Liana. Welcome to my channel, and we are going to be talking about the 2025 Stanley Cup Playoffs, specifically the Western Conference's Round 1 recap. So far in 2025 Stanley Cup Round 1 series, we had the Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues open up this 2025 Stanley Cup Playoffs on Saturday, April 19, 2025. This game was later followed up and closed out by the Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche in their 2025 Stanley Cup Playoffs debut. And the weekend ended with a Vegas Golden Knights versus Minnesota Wild matchup on Sunday, April 20th, 2025. So on Saturday, April 19, 2025, we had the Winnipeg Jets win 5-3 against the St. Louis Blues. The Jets scored 5 goals while the Blues scored 3. The Blues kicked off the Stanley Cup playoffs with a power play goal, which was quickly answered back by the Jets to momentarily make it a 1-1 game. Although the Jets were able to gain the first lead of the game moments after the game was tied, unfortunately for the Jets, the Blues answered back and made it a 2-2 game going into the second period. The Blues continued their momentum into the second period with a power play goal that helped the Blues to regain their 1-goal lead and made it a 3-2 game going into the third period. The third period remained stagnant with a 3-2 lead for the Blues until the Jets were able to break through with their third goal of the game to make it 3-3. The Jets continued their momentum with 2 additional goals scored during the last 2 minutes of the game, which helped secure the Jets' 5-3 win. Tempers, which were flaring throughout the game, did explode with 2 different scrimmages that occurred with 18.6 and then later on with 2.4 seconds left in the third period. In the end, the Jets ended up winning 5-3, as mentioned, and by outshooting the Blues with 26 shots versus 17 shots. And however, the Blues did play a more physical game as they ended with 53 hits versus the Jets' 33 hits. The Blues also found more success during their face-off wins with 57.4% versus 42.6% for the Jets. And the Blues also found more success on their power play opportunities with 66.7% versus the Jets' 25%. It really did come down to puck possession within this game, in my opinion. In regards to goaltending, Jets had Hellebuyck in net, and he had ended the day with a 0.82 save percentage after he saved 14 out of 17 shots on goal, while Binnington for the Blues ended with a 0.84 save percentage after he saved 21 out of 25 shots on goal. Hellebuyck was able to secure the win for the Jets, and I believe his save percentage would have been a lot higher if he ended up facing more shots. However, this is how the game ended. Up next, right after that game, we jumped right into the Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars game 1 matchup. With this game, the first period of this game remained scoreless as both goaltenders and their penalty kill teams remained at a 100% success rate, and it wasn't until the second period when the Avs struck first with a controversial goal credited to Arturi Lankinen that helped them to gain a 1-goal lead. So the reason why this goal was controversial, and it was initially under review due to it being put into the back of the net after it ricocheted off the skate of Lankinen. Basically, it ricocheted off his skate as he was falling down onto the ice onto his back, kind of like a turtle falling onto the back of a shell, something like that. basically, puck was shot, puck went bounced and ricocheted to the back of the net. So in the end, it was called a good goal, as it was determined that there was no intentional and distinct kicking motion that swept the puck into the net, hence why they were able to keep their 1-0 lead during the second period. And then the Avs ended up extending their lead to 2-0 after a successful power play goal scored by Nathan MacKinnon, who was the one that drew blood and the penalty after being high-sticked by number 24 Rupert Hintz from the Dallas Stars. Now, Hintz did make up for his penalty earlier in this game by scoring the Stars' first goal of the game and made it 2-1, still in the Avs' favor. However, since the Avs' momentum didn't stop after their penalty kill was unable to stop Hintz, they ended up scoring 3 more goals before the end of this game. And in regards to their stats, they both teams had equal amounts of shots. Shots on goal, as they both ended with 24 shots. The Avs did play a way more physical game compared to the Stars, as they ended with 30 hits versus 18 hits, which in my opinion is very interesting, since in previous matchups between these two teams, it seemed like the Stars always played a more physical game with multiple hits, while the Avs played a more fast-paced game. So seeing the Avs play a fast-paced and physical game, I feel like was what helped them to win Game 1 of this series. And then both teams had a relatively even face-off win success rate, as the Avs had a 50.8 success rate and the Stars had a 49.2 success rate. And of course, the Stars had a higher power play percentage at 33.3% versus the Avs, who ended with 25%. Mackenzie Blackwood for the Avalanche, or Mackenzie Blackwood was able to secure the win for the Avs after ending the night with 0.95 save percentage when he saved 23 out of 24 shots on goal, while goaltender number 29 Jake Ottinger ended the night with a 0.826 save percentage after he saved 19 out of 23 shots on goal. And that's how day 1, the first day of the Stanley Cup, the 2025 Stanley Cup Playoffs, ended. And we went on to the next day, Sunday, April 20th, 2025, the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Minnesota Wilds Game 1 matchup on Easter Sunday. So the Vegas Golden Knights and Minnesota Wild game actually started off at a standstill of 0-0 up until the last 5 minutes of the first period, when Hurdle ripped a puck into the top corner of the net and was able to get the Knights on the board first. This 1-0 lead did not last long, as Boldy tied the game 2 minutes and 20 seconds after Hurdle's goal. The Knights ended up regaining their lead with a successful power play goal, and they were able to end the second period with a 2-1 score, aka a 1-goal lead. And going into the third period, Knights Howden was able to extend their lead by 2 goals about 2 minutes and 28 seconds into the third period. However, even though the Wild were struggling throughout the game, their persistence was what kept them going, especially as Boldy was able to successfully score a wraparound goal assisted by Kirill Kaprizov and was able to make it a 1-goal game. Unfortunately for the Wild, Boldy was also the player who received a tripping penalty with 1 minute left in the game. Howden took advantage of this power play opportunity and ended up scoring the final goal of the game with a 10th of a second left of the third period, which ended the game with a 4-2 win for the Vegas Golden Knights. When looking at the stats, we see that the Vegas Golden Knights had a little bit more puck possession compared to the Minnesota Wild, as they ended with 25 shots on goal versus the Wild ending with 20 shots on goal. The Wild played a very physical game as they ended with 54 hits versus Knights 29 hits. They also found more success within their face-off wins, as the Wild ended with 60% versus the Knights ending with 40%. But the Knights did find way more success on the power play, as they were able to secure both goals on their man advantages, and while the Wild struggled to gain any momentum on their power play. In regards to goaltending, Adin Hill won the game for the Knights with a 0.905 save percentage after he saved 19 out of 21 shots on goal, while goaltender Philip Gustafsson for the Wild ended the night with a 0.885 save percentage after he saved 22 out of 26 shots on goal. So that's it for what happened during this past weekend, and the upcoming games for this week at least is going to start off with matchups on April 21st, 2025, aka today, in a couple hours. So we're going to see the Jets versus the Blues, game 2 of their series today. We'll also see the Stars versus the Avs, game 2 today. And we will see the LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers 2025 Stanley Cup Playoffs debut. Thanks for watching, and come back next time for the next update of what has happened so far in the 2025 Stanley Cup Playoffs in the Western Conference. Bye!